Hey everyone, what's going on? Thanks for checking into our latest TDR Cannabis in 5. I'm your host, Shad Dales. Got a really interesting story here today, and this grabbed a lot of people's attention and how it could really shape cannabis retail, not just in Canada or North America, but globally. Why do I say that? Well, HITI, the Canadian retail giant, has officially planted its flag in Europe. This is big, and not just anywhere, in Berlin, Germany. So this is the first time a publicly traded North American cannabis operator has opened a bricks and mortar retail store in Europe's largest cannabis market. Well done by HITI. So let's break down this monumental moment for the company and what this could mean for the retail footprint in Europe, here in our latest TDR Cannabis in 5. All right, let's begin. HITI, they announced its first international Canna Cabana store in Berlin. For those unfamiliar, Canna Cabana is HITI's flagship retail brand, known across Canada for cannabis accessories, lifestyle products, and eventually cannabis itself. So this Berlin store, if you look at this, it's located right in the heart of Berlin-Mitte, steps away from the Alexanderplatz, which is a cultural and political hub surrounded by landmarks like the Berlin Cathedral, Museum Island, and the Hackescher Market District. So in other words, when you look at this, HITI, they just didn't open up a store, they opened with a statement. Why do I say that? Well, they chose one of the most visible, high-traffic areas in Germany's capital to showcase their brand. This is a big, bold move. So now it begs the question, why Berlin? Why Germany? Well, if you haven't been following the space, let's put this things into perspective. Right now, Germany is Europe's largest cannabis market with a population of around 83 million people. Good sized market, right? So government data right now is showing imports of medical cannabis surpassed 143 tons in just the first 3 quarters of 2025. So that's a record-breaking figure. So cannabis usage is indeed accelerating, and right now, Germany is moving towards broader liberalization. So by establishing a retail presence now, HITI indeed is positioning itself ahead of the curve. Well done again. So if you look at this even further, they're not necessarily waiting for legalization to catch up. They're building brand loyalty through accessories and lifestyle goods first, just like they did obviously in Canada. And when you put all that together and the timing is right, they'll then transition those customers into cannabis retail. Because again, it's a playbook that they've used already here in Canada. So what have they done in Canada? Let's rewind for a moment. Right now, HITI, it's built the country's largest cannabis retail network by first focusing on accessories. They created a loyal following, then seamlessly transitioned into cannabis sales once regulations allowed. So as we fast forward to today, HITI right now, they operate well over 200 Canna Cabana locations across the country, making them right now the largest non-franchise cannabis retailer in Canada. So when we look at that growth, it didn't obviously happen overnight. Their approach in many people's eyes was strategic, disciplined, and it was definitely customer focused. And now they're taking that same formula and applying it to Europe, it appears. So the Berlin store, it isn't just a retail outlet, it's the first domino in what could become a continental expansion. It's kind of cool when you see a company in Canada now putting their retail footprint in Berlin. Because when you look at this, the move is definitely historic. Traditionally, as we know, cannabis companies have focused on exporting cannabis products. They ship like flour, oils, and medical supplies all overseas. But again, with this announcement, it's doing something different, meaning HITI. They're not exporting cannabis, they're exporting retail, something we haven't seen yet. So if you think about that for a second, a North American cannabis retailer opening a physical store in Europe is, let's face it, unprecedented. So it definitely signals a shift from being product suppliers to becoming global brand builders. This is good for the industry because, again, it's a bold move, and it begs the question, how far do they plan to scale this retail model across the continent? You got to ask the question, could we see Canna Cabana stores in Paris, Barcelona, or Amsterdam in the coming years? That potential, if you think about it, it's enormous. So how well do they know retail better than the Europeans? That's a good question to ask. And right now, HITI's Berlin launch also follows their acquisition of Remexian Pharma GmbH, which, in case you don't know, is a licensed medical cannabis importer and distributor based in Germany. So the acquisition, again, it gives them a foothold in the medical cannabis supply chain. Now, when you add in the retail added to the mix, they're building right now a multi-pronged European strategy: medical distribution, e-commerce, and brick and mortar retail. So whether you like them or not, this is exactly how you build long-term market dominance. Because really, you don't just sell products, you create an ecosystem. That's how you do branding. And HITI right now is proving that they're thinking globally, not just locally. You got to start somewhere, but man, wild ride for sure. And when you think about their CEO, Raj Grover, he summed it up where he said, Canna Cabana's potential, it extends far beyond Canada, and this Berlin opening is the first step in unlocking that global opportunity. Got to think big, right? He also emphasized that this is a long-term commitment to Germany, and that's key because there's been some uncertainty tricky what's going on in the cannabis space right now in Germany. So they're going to watch legislative developments closely. And when broader liberalization happens, indeed, High Tide will be ready for a head start. And if you want to look any further, that's exactly how they built their Canadian model. By being early, by building loyalty, and by scaling aggressively when the timing is right. So to sum all up, let's be clear, it's a bold move. International expansion, it is never easy. It sounds real good, but execution is everything. You're dealing with new regulations, also cultural differences and competitive landscapes. But if you think about it, they have shown they're willing to take calculated risks. So we'll see whether this works or not, but it's a bold move. When you look back in Canada, they grew substantially by leaning into retail forward strategies. Now they're betting that Europe is ready for the same model. And to be honest, if they're right, this Berlin store could be the first of many across the continent. And it's in a very high traffic area too. So job well done by Raj Grover, his team, and his real estate team as well. So to wrap this up, what does this mean for investors and more specifically High Tide investors? Well, one thing's for sure, their CEO, he thinks big and he's willing to take on calculated risks. Like I said, this is good for the industry as a whole as well. Seeing brands that are being built and recognizable in a country like Canada and now shifting over to Berlin, and not just any city, one of the most recognizable cities in the world in Berlin, in a high traffic area. It's a North American brand in Europe in one of the most dynamic cities, as I said, in the world. So a big moment for High Tide and really for the overall industry. All right, everyone, that's it for now. Let me know your thoughts on this announcement by High Tide expanding their retail footprint into Berlin. Do you like it? Leave your comments below. Love to get your feedback. And as usual, if you like this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and smash on that bell for all notifications and stay connected with us here at TDR. That's it for now. Let's get going, everybody. Brand new week. I'm your host, Shad Dales. Thanks for checking in, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching.